Not even 2 days to go until Election Day, and here with me now, CNN political commentators Angela Rye and Peter Beinart, and also Andre Bauer, the former Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina, who is supporting Donald Trump. Bakari Sellers, a Clinton supporter. Scottie Nell Hughes, a Trump supporter. Matt Lewis, senior contributor to the Daily Caller. Also, defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, the author of Electoral Dysfunction, a guide for unaroused voters. So let's discuss what we have been talking about here. We've been talking about the whole email situation and Comey coming out today, and talking to the panel, my previous panel, about whether this changes the momentum. You believe that it hasn't been a close race, as close as people think it is? Is that so?
And I think that, 18 months ago, it's amazing how we've come full circle. It's as if, Donald Trump came out, and when he was running, when he came down the escalator, and he bastardized Hispanic voters, and he said, we're going to build a wall. The irony is that the wall between Donald Trump and the White House is built by Hispanic voters. And so one of the things that we're seeing is that we're seeing an operation, and I love the Caputo articles in Politico. I love the individuals who built these narratives, which actually have been crumbling around us, because what we've seen the Clinton campaign do from the beginning, from the beginning of voting, is actually get their voters to the polls. They've had 25,000 more African Americans. That's before today. That's before Souls to the Polls Sunday in Florida vote versus in 2012 with Barack Obama. And so all of these narratives that we've had about the way that this race is going to break down, she has a coalition. It's an Obama coalition. It's going to look slightly different. But she's actually getting those voters out. And I think Donald Trump's biggest obstacle from being president has been demographics. It was demographics on day one. It's demographics today. And on Tuesday night, what's going to beat Donald Trump is the fact that the country, and I've said this numerous times on this panel, the country is getting browner, and Donald Trump will not fare well.
Andre, how concerned do you think that the Trump folks are now, especially when you hear about Hispanic voting surging in some places, about the demographics? Because it's a different demographic than in 2012 and in 2008, and the electorate is browning.
I don't think they ever didn't see a big challenge. I mean, clearly, for years, the Republican Party's had a tougher and tougher challenge with the demographic shift, and they're going to have to do something about it to continue to be able to grow the party. But he's expanded his base in other areas, and actually we know the minority vote hadn't turned out as well in the past. Now the Latino vote has made up for some of that shortfall. But if you just
changed his strategy had he realized that the Latino vote would be so strong, instead of saying we're going to build a wall, or Mexico, when they send over their people, they send their racists, they're criminals and they're rapists, and do you think he would have changed that? Because that didn't play well with Latino voters.
I don't think he would have. I think he is kind of locked in on what he firmly believes in, and I don't think he's one that moves a whole lot based on which way the political winds blow, and that's why so many people have supported him.
The stupid thing, though, for Trump is that I don't think this is mutually exclusive. Like, Donald Trump is tapping into some sort of really good political things amongst working class workers and blue-collar workers in Rust Belt states. You don't have to be a racist or anti-Semitic to get those votes. He's talking about, populism, protectionist trade policies. Not my cup of tea in terms of philosophy, but I think it's resonating. If he could have had that, if he could have attracted the blue-collar workers without being so offensive to minorities, he might have won the race.
If you look at what people say they love about Donald Trump, you saw this throughout the primaries. One of the top things, maybe the top things, was that he's not politically correct, right? So it was precisely the fact that he was willing to go beyond other Republicans in the way he talked about Muslims, in the way he talked about Latinos, that I think was part of what people loved about him. So I'm not so sure you can disassociate the populism of Donald Trump that you like from the racism and
the problem
xenophobia
is you might
of
be
Donald
right
Trump.
in terms of winning the Republican primary. That is a structural, fundamental problem that the Republican Party and the conservative movement has to address. But once the general election starts in earnest, I do think Donald Trump could have become a populist, protectionist, sort of Rust Belt, blue-collar guy without offending and alienating minorities.
He doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to do that, though. And
he didn't moderate.
He doesn't know how to moderate. And the reality of it is, Don, you've referenced this several times, the Black Jeopardy skit on Saturday Night Live.
Brilliant.
It was brilliant because there are more things that bond us and weave us together than that separate. And you are 100% right, Matt. He could have tapped into that. He could have tapped into the fact that, yes, there are some inner city communities that are struggling, but no, black people aren't afraid of getting shot walking out of their front doors to get a loaf of bread. One and the same, the evangelical vote for him. He's been very fortunate One, because they said, oh, well, Jesus forgives Donald Trump. For some reason, when it came to Hillary Clinton's husband, Jesus didn't forgive him. However, the interesting thing is evangelical voters are only supporting Donald Trump because they do not want a woman president. It's not because he's the grand moral authority. That's the real issue.
That is wrong right there.
Oh, no, it's in the Bible. And
we are all for having, as an evangelical woman,
I'm evangelical too.
I'm all for having a female president. I just don't want Hillary Clinton to be that president. I am all for it.
But
that's a false statement. The evangelicals
Really, 'cause I was
overall
Elizabeth
are
Warren's chairman.
supporting Donald Trump. That's not the issue. I think when it comes to immigration, though, I think this is where we should, maybe the focus should have been better on, about jobs that were leaving this country, that were going to others.
That's
or
actually
jobs
not true.
here in the United States that were being replaced, people within the housing industry, people within the gardening, jobs that were being replaced by illegals within this country.
That's not true.
That were, yes, in the housing
undocumented
industry.
people.
There are jobs are being
Not
replaced.
true.
Really, when was the last time you were on a housing
you know what the
construction
net
site?
immigration from
So,
Mexico has
but
been since
it's
Barack Obama?
down. It's zero. It's actually
Zero
negative. I mean,
immigration from
that's what
Mexico
I'm
since
saying.
Barack Obama became president.
But the
It's
ones
zero.
that are
Immigration.
here that are illegal are sitting their money.
They're
back
undocumented
home.
workers, though.
But see, that-
Undocumented
but
workers, that's
this
called
is-
illegals, and they're here and they're sitting their money
Scotty's
back
actually-
home.
That's
Not
actually
Mexico.
dehumanizing
And right now,
But Scotty's actually illustrating a point that I want to bring up, and
you're about to call me some form of hate, I'm sure.
No.
because
But
that's what you're, that's what
But you're
unfortunately you've
actually
done.
you're actually
to those of us
illustrating.
that want to protect American jobs
Well,
and want to make sure our workers are
that's-
first.
That's fine.
What's
I hear,
wrong with that?
No, I hear that. But I mean, there's a lot of xenophobia in that, but I wasn't calling you that. What I was going to say, though, is you're
Hey.
illustrating something that, excuse me, is even more pervasive because we try to disassociate Donald Trump from the rest of the Republican Party.
That's right.
And I don't think we should do that because I don't think that's actually accurate. When you have people like Paul Ryan and Jason Chaffetz who sit there and prop him up on a regular basis, for Paul Ryan to actually say that something that he said was the textbook definition of racism, talking about Judge Curiel, but still support him. I mean, that is beyond cowardice. And so I think when we had the Nevada GOP
I would
chair,
bet you that there are more never Trump conservatives and Republicans, that if this was happening on the left, on the Democratic side, like Kanye West or some, sort of fringe Democrat
don't
won
give
the
him any
nomination.
ideas,
But
please.
If that were to happen,
populist Democrat.
if that were to happen, I bet you,
But is
I
Kanye
bet
West
you
a
would
swing?
not see.
Hold on, you could use-
I bet you would not see prominent
Matt,
liberal
can't
Democratic.
you use Bernie Sanders as an example
Right,
of that?
'cause is Kanye West a
he's a
Democrat?
populist candidate.
He's
on the left.
he's a socialist, but I'm talking about somebody like a Sean Penn who holds radical views, like
Okay.
9/11 was an. So here's just my sort of theory is that if there were a truly offensive and radical Democrat who won the Democratic nomination, I doubt if you would see prominent Democratic pundits and liberal commentators stand up and refuse to give.
I mean,
Based on
that's
what?
a
Based on
hypothetical.
what?
It's a hypothetical, but it happened on
But
Earth.
what we can tell you right now is that the reason that Donald Trump is where he is and the reason that the Republican Party is where they are is because the Republican leadership has completely failed not their party, but this country. And so when you have Mitch McConnell, when you have all of these individuals who do the I'm going to vote for him but not endorse him dance, I mean, I don't even know what that is.
I love that we have a Democrat criticizing the Republicans' House. Now, I agree we have issues within the Republican House, but take care of your own first. Let the Republicans handle our own right now.
We're about to be
And then-
president of the United States.
Well, we'll tell you that Tuesday night. We shall see, but you don't know that yet. I mean, I'm sorry, we have not gone to. But the thing is Mr. Trump accumulated more votes in the primaries, and we're seeing higher voter turnout right now amongst the Republicans. Actually, are higher up in most states than the Democrats. That is
Where? What
fact.
states?
You're
In
not
most
denying-
states.
Ohio,
North Carolina,
That's
Ohio.
not true on
Scotty,
the
then from
primary.
2012
Scotty, you're not
That's not
denying
true.
that there is a divide in the Republican
I
Party.
am 100% agreeing that there is a divide, but that divide had started in 2008 before you had Donald Trump even running. You had the grassroots was separating from the elitists within the party.
But you did not
That's
hear-
the battle.
Actually, this is a scary point, though, I would say, is that Donald Trump did not cause this problem.
No, he
he's
has
a
been
he's a
going
manifestation
all
of the
along.
problem. He's a symptom.
Okay, I understand that.
Symptom.
I understand
So
that. But what you
when
did
Trump-
not
if
see
and when Trump
in
loses,
2008
the problem
with
doesn't go
McCain
away.
and in 2012 were people saying, I'm not going to support
The nominee.
The nominee, right?
Right.
I'm going to support the party, but I don't agree with what they say or whatever. People got behind those two candidates.
But this schism, Donald Trump did not start this, and the problem is, if Donald Trump loses on Tuesday, the problem doesn't go away, even if Donald Trump.
Even if he won, it doesn't go away.
The problem started long before Donald Trump, right? When your
Absolutely.
hero, Ronald Reagan, went to
There
launch
you
his
go
campaign-
again.
You're going to blame Ronald.
Sorry.
Go down that road, please. Blame Ronald Reagan. It works real well for your
This
party.
is true, right?
Jeffrey
Talk about
Lord here.
states' rights in Oxford, Mississippi.
No, he's
When
not
Ronald
sorry.
Reagan talked about strong bucks getting their welfare to buy Cadillacs.
Ronald Reagan
There's
also
a
said there's
long-
no place
there-
in the
look, there's some
Republican
good
Party
things that
for
Ronald Reagan
racism.
did, but
Yeah, but
let's
he
be
did.
honest about
That
this,
was
right?
healthy.
Playing on white fears of African Americans and increasingly of Latinos is not something that Donald Trump invented. It has been core to the Republican Party's success.
I would
since
say
the
both. I would say
1970s at
both
least.
political parties have had a less than terrific record
No,
of that
that's
over the course
that's
of
a kind of obfuscating way of saying
Well,
it.
no,
The
it's kind of
Democratic
a
Party,
true way of
the
saying it.
Democratic Party became, over the decades, a less racist party. Not to say it doesn't have
Harry
elements of-
Reid has said
a
some
less-
things I wouldn't
a
say
less-
in recent
a less racist party. As the Republican Party was becoming a more racist party, now it has a presidential candidate who actually supports banning
He
an
was a
entire
Democrat.
religion
Hillary
from
Clinton went to his wedding. He's a liberal.
Right, but he would not
Donald
have won.
Trump is not
he's
a
not-
conservative.
won the Democratic nomination because Democrats were not
GOP
excited to
nominee.
vote for someone who was going to ban Muslims from the United
Well, if
States.
they weren't excited about voting for her either, she had to cheat Bernie to get it.
Oh, come on, Andre.
All right.
On that note, you gotta go break on that one. That's a great,
About
interesting note right
racism.
there.
We're going to talk about anti-Semitism after the break.